Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
Not great with finances? That's okay. Experian is your big financial friend. Explore credit card offers, some labeled no ding decline, which means if you're not approved, they won't hurt your credit scores. See Experian.com for details. Applying for no ding decline cards won't hurt your credit scores if you aren't initially approved. 2025 Experian.
You're listening to 100 Words or Less with Ray Harkins. Greetings one, greetings all. Welcome to the podcast in which we celebrate all the awesomeness that is the independent music scene, whether it's punk, hardcore, indie rock, emo, post-hardcore, metal, all of those things. As long as it's come from small, sweaty rooms, we all have that connective tissue that bonds us, and why we continue to go back to these small, sweaty rooms to watch bands or buy records or buy zines, whatever it is. You know, it really, really has moved us to start a podcast 13 years ago. But all joking aside, I really appreciate all of you who reached out and celebrated in the show, celebrating 13 years of existence. That's like 600 and some odd conversations that I've been able to have with people who I find important, and hopefully you do as well and have listened to a few of those episodes. So I really genuinely appreciate that. But moving right along, because that is what the content machine does. It moves on. That just sounds sad, but I am thrilled to welcome a guest this week. His name is Josh Newt. He plays in Shiner. And if you are not familiar with the Shiner, totally fine. They actually just released a new record called Believe You Me that just came out on Spartan Records, who also resurrected By a Thread, which is an incredible side note. But Josh is also a music lifer, and you'll find out in the discussion because he played in Every Time I Die. He also played in The Damn Things. He has a ton of credentials, and now he travels with Fall Out Boy and a bunch of other bands doing the behind-the-scenes tech work that makes all of the dreams happen from the musician perspective. But all joking aside, Josh is a great hang. We actually were supposed to do this like 6 or 7 years ago, and we never ended up connecting and crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But we're here now. And like I said, Shiner is a new record. They're going out on tour. It's a incredible record. And if you like bands like, you know, Quicksand and all of that sort of early 90s post-hardcore, Shiner was kicking around in the early 2000s. They released a very important record called The Egg. That's where I first discovered them, but I celebrate their entire musical catalog. And this new record is also it. It is so good. And I had Alan Epley, the vocalist, on many, many moons ago because he also played in a band called The Life and the Times, or The Life and Times, and really enjoy his output as a musician as well. But Shiner, that's what we're here for. And we're here for Josh. Let's talk about ways you can support the show. First of all, reach out. Say hi. 100wordspodcast@gmail.com. Love to receive any and all feedback that you may have, whether it's guest ideas or just general what's upness. Always appreciate those notes, and appreciate the notes from people who are kind enough to just say, hey, been listening to it for a while. Just want to say, hey, love all those things. You can also leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, or simply leave a rating on Spotify. Those things help out tremendously. That is why podcasts ask you to do that. You can also consume this podcast on YouTube. It's not a video show, but I distribute there as well because that is where people are watching and listening to podcasts now. It's a whole thing. And weekly recommendations. Let's talk about music that you need to pay attention to. I have a link in the show notes where you will be able to follow along to all of the records I've been recommending and all the music I've been recommending for the better part of 2 years. I'm actually going to be creating a Apple Music link as well in the near future, just because I personally am dipping off of Spotify. you probably know why. If you have questions why, you can always reach out. But yeah, Spotify just not the best, really flattening music culture in a very real way. But I will still update the playlist there. But anyways, the point being, music recommendations. This week, this band really doesn't need any, I guess, hype or pumping now because they are truly off to the races. But I love this record. The band is called Geese. The record is called Getting Killed. And I truthfully got into this record only because of the vocalist Cameron Winter. I've been obsessed with Cameron Winter ever since I got into his record late last year, saw him in February, and just have become obsessed. And truthfully, I went into Geese being like, I don't know, man. It's not that, it's not Cameron's solo stuff. But this record it's really, really good. I mean, this band has been around since 2016. This is their third or fourth full length. And I believe that this is the best. This is the most clear representation of what the band is, in my opinion. They're a weird mixture. They got a lot of things going on, whether it's, kind of like angular guitar, college rock mixed with like indie stuff. I would not call it experimental, but like there are experimental moments where you feel like, where have we been going? Is this song falling apart? But it is exceptional, and there are some vocal melodies on there that Cameron hits. Cameron, like I'm his friend. What's up, Cameron? But there's some vocal melodies on there that are just exceptional. So I have to recommend this record because I have been spinning it all week, and I'm excited to keep listening to it. So let's talk to Josh Newton right now from Shiner. I have a very specific memory of hearing Shiner in the first place, where I was tour managing Alexis on Fire.
Okay.
And me and the human being Dallas Green were riding up front, and he was driving, and he was like, Ray, have you ever listened to Shiner? This is probably 2002, something like that. And I was like, I've heard of the band name, but I have not heard. And so he played the egg for me. And it was one of those things like, and I know that you have the experience as well, where like the clouds part and you're just like, oh, I immediately get this band. I see where they're coming from. Like it just, it fires on all cylinders. And then at that point you're like, yes, I like this band now. The fact that I was able to so immediately identify with it, where it's just like, oh yeah, they were kind of doing what, Quicksand, like post-hardcore scene, except with a little more college rock stuff. But Shiner, I think why a lot of people maybe don't know how to quantify you guys. Like you're not post-hardcore enough to be in that, but you're not too college rock. Like you fall into every genre, but then no genre.
It's a weird place to be.
Right. And honestly, that's what I was going to ask, where it's like, do you feel that is kind of part of Shiner's charm, but then also like the fact that people don't know what to do with you when they listen to you?
It's interesting because when I hear people reference what we sound like to them, and it kind of only goes as deep as what their musical knowledge is. Like, oh, I hear Queens of the Stone Age, or oh, I hear Soundgarden, and I'm like, I don't hear that. Like
I don't. Yeah.
And I know, because I know where I stole all my stuff from. So it's, I don't know. It's interesting just because, you don't know what you don't know, and people, and yeah, we aren't, I kind of feel like we're sneaking by on the post-hardcore tag, only because if anybody listened to hardcore, it was probably me. And maybe doing research for bands I was playing in later. I don't know. Is Converge a hardcore band? I mean,
sure.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they started off as such.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand.
It's like, I don't even know if, maybe they want to be called that. I don't know. But I think bands like ours that cover a lot of subgenres in the music, it's always difficult. And I think it has hurt us as much as helped us. Even just from song to song, where people are like, I like this. Oh, nope, this is too weird. I don't like this. So,
right.
Yeah.
Because no, that's fair. I didn't think about it in terms of like song to song, but like, yeah, I mean, your catalog definitely spans a lot of different, rock genres, as it were. But like, I didn't think about where it's like, yeah, there are certain songs on, the Egg or others that it's like, it goes from kind of more this to more that. And like, that's truthfully where it probably is exciting for you to have more, a more diverse palette to kind of paint with, where it's like, oh yeah, we don't have to be this like one note band.
Yeah. It's good, and it's also, I think, kind of bad. I don't know. Some bands get away with it, and it works well for them, and I'm kind of jealous that they can do that.
Sure. Yeah, you're like, wow, that's cool. I wish we could have something like that.
Yeah.
I'll pull apart some more of the Shiner business, but just wanted to know a little bit more about you, just because I know, like, since Shiner is a band that obviously existed pre-internet, it's one of those things where you try to, because truthfully, I first became aware of you beyond the affiliation with Shiner once you joined Every Time I Die, and I was just like, wait, Josh from Shiner is playing in Every Time I Die. I was like, for real?
Yeah.
That's weird, but sick. Anyway, so laying all that out, just the, simple biographical stuff where it's like, were you actually born and raised in the Midwest, or where'd you come up?
No, I'm from Massachusetts originally. And I was in a very noisy rock band called the Glazed Baby. And we got on the same label as Season to Risk. And that was our introduction to the Kansas City scene. I would go through Kansas City, and it was like, playing in Kansas City in the 90s was like, it was like New Orleans or something. It was like everybody was raging, partying, and it was like, it's so cheap to live here. It's because Massachusetts, even then, it was still expensive. And the idea of being in the middle of the country, having like a day's drive to either coast or the top or the bottom of the country, just seemed like a good place to situate myself as a band person. So I toured with Glazed Baby for a bunch. We got a record deal. That band kind of crumbled under its own weight. And then I joined Season to Risk playing bass. And I took Paul from Shiner's place in Season to Risk playing bass.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't even, the Glazed Baby history, like, I truthfully had no idea. But I mean, obviously, I did not do my appropriate Discogs research.
Quite all right.
But just the fact that it was like that, and that's probably how you sort of got connected with like the Unsane universe as well, because you played with Unsane, right?
I did. Yeah, we played shows with Unsane, and the last time we played a show with them, our bass player had taken acid during the show and was just
As
kind of
does.
like turning his tuning peg, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" So I made a joke to the Unsane guys, like, hey, if you ever want a second guitar player, because I was so like pissed at my own band. And then they fucking called me, like, hey, did you?
You're like,
yeah. I was like,
I didn't think that was actually going to happen.
I was kind of, okay, I guess I'll learn the songs. And so I started with them. I got they came to Providence within a couple days. I did sound check with them. It was okay. And I went and sold merch and did sound checks for a couple days until I started playing with them. And it was us and Today's the Day on tour.
Okay. That's, I love that. Well, that's cool. Cause what I think was so cool about that whole sort of, Midwest noise, am rep, like all of that, like it seemed, I mean, it was a subculture of a subculture where it's like, if you found out about it, like that was your world.
Yeah.
And it's like, there were certain bands that got like welcomed into that, and clearly others where it was like they sort of traveled like, Scratch Acid, where it was like, oh yeah, they traveled, in the periphery.
Yeah.
But that's cool that you got that experience with like, because I mean, Glazed Baby, you would kind of put in that scene, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely trying to be. We didn't know if we wanted to be the Melvins or what we wanted to be. Sometimes we wanted to be Neurosis. Sometimes we wanted to be the Melvins. It was, I don't know. It was interesting. That was my first band. I was like 17. We put out a 3-song 7-inch and got in the van and left.
Right. So, I mean, and that's like early 90s stuff. So you were obviously using dialers to book tours.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah. Maps, dialers, the whole thing. Like,
right.
I think
you were forging a path.
Yeah. It was wild.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, every person that has toured through different sort of technological innovations, like, the moment that MapQuest became available and it was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole new thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, cell phones and that, like, I just remember, and I'm sure you do too, where it's like, when the Garmin Like you could put that in your van and be like, oh, I could find a bagel shop easily as opposed to just randomly.
Yeah. So crazy. Like
Totally.
When I think about how often something must have just like been like one more block away, but I was like, I've had enough of trying to find this place, which I still
totally.
There's something about me too, but.
Well, but I mean, it's true. Like the amount of times where you have to eat like the worst food imaginable just because that's on the route, and you're like, dude, if we go 4 blocks over, like we don't know where to go.
Yep, we'll be screwed.
Yeah.
We'll never find a way back.
Right. So get it. I mean, now that I've triangulated where you, kind of came up, I'm guessing that a lot of your sort of musical exposure was kind of, from the sort of Boston scene, or were you ping ponging off of like skate videos and stuff like that? What was the entry point?
Skate videos were huge. My older sister was, she was punk, but then she kind of went goth and sort of brought me along with her. So I was listening to a lot of The Cure, but also Slayer and also Sex Pistols and Bauhaus. And then like when Nirvana Bleach came out, I was like, oh wait, I can do this. So that was kind of my on-ramp to like, because I'd always wanted to play guitar and tried to play fast and stuff. And I just didn't love metal guitar playing. It didn't really speak to me how I thought it should if I wanted to do it. Like I wasn't sitting around trying to learn Metallica songs because it seemed beyond what I was doing and also kind of boring. And then I got into like stuff that was more immediate and easier. And I was like, oh, this isn't this equation I thought it was, And so there was a lot of the skate videos were big. Streets of Fire was a big one. The Pal Peralta videos were big. Anything not as Coppice skated to was huge for me. So like the Minutemen songs huge for me.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Fire Hose. Either way. Mike Watt was still involved.
Sure.
But yeah, it was my sister had a lot to do with it. And then the college radio station, WSMU or WUSM at the time from Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts was a great radio station. They played a lot of cool stuff. And I punished them.
You calling up and being like, hey guys, could you play this for me?
Yep. Awful.
That's so good.
It's like so bad that they had me. Do you want a show? Like they gave me a show just because I annoyed them so much.
I mean, what's the saying? Dress for the job that you want.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Just that notion. Well, there's two things that you said in there where the distinction between subcultures of it's like punk, metal, goth. Like obviously, it's all in sort of one stew and similar. But when you commit to something where it's like okay, I am like full goth. I'm obviously wearing the makeup, like all of this sort of stuff. Where it doesn't seem like you abided by that. You were just dabbling in all these things, but being like, I like all of it musically.
Yeah, I mean, I wear black all the time. That's about as goth as I get. Maybe
right.
A Bela Lugosi and a Frankenstein tattoo, but yeah. So anyway,
sure.
It's I'm sad on the inside, not so much the outside.
Yeah, you're like, I don't need to embody this physically. I can just express it. You're right.
At the time, my sister and her husband, still now, they slept in a coffin together. He built them a coffin that they were like in. They met at Rocky Horror Show. Like that's beautiful. She was Lydia Dietz. My sister was.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a commitment. That's a true commitment where you're like, I can understand why you could use her as a totem for some sort of influence because you're like, yo, you're living this.
Yes.
I get it.
Yeah. I was still stuck in like, I was dressing like a grunge kid or whatever, like,
sure.
Like army shorts with, the thermals below them, just
of course,
fully wearing that costume. But it was just, like her costume, it was still just a costume.
Yeah. Well, and also what you said in regards to the delineation between the things that you can and cannot play. Like, I think that especially for people that aspire to play some sort of music, either you're just like, I'm going to spend every waking hour trying to be like Yngwie Malmsteen,
yep.
or I find another off ramp where it's like, I just need 4 chords. This is it.
I mean, that's
great.
Literally what we did. We just, like, our bass player, when he first came to the rehearsal, was so bad. I couldn't tell. He was so bad, I thought he was good. Like, that's how bad he was.
Sure. You're like, dude, you're on another level, bro.
I guess this guy's amazing. Let's have a band.
Right. That's so cool. And so I'm presuming by the fact that, both you and your sister were into left of center styles of music, like, were your parents, were you guys a growing concern for them as far as like, what are our children doing, or were they pretty permissive?
No, we were feral children, basically.
Okay.
Our parents were very involved with their own lives and their own habits. So we were kind of just left to run amok, and for better or worse. I think we both turned out okay. I mean, I also had older siblings, but we didn't bond like my just older sister and I did. But yeah, we were pretty much left to our own device with pretty much everything. So
okay.
If there was concern, they forgot to voice it.
Right. They may have been talking about it, in their bedroom late at night, but then they would be like, "Man, that's fine."
Anyway, I have to go to work. Who cares? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Are they breathing? Like, do they have lunch? Maybe.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We order a pizza. Yeah. They're great.
Okay. Got it. So I guess when Glazed Baby started, was that post high school, or were you still in high school?
I was just out of high school.
Okay.
So I knew I was going to be a touring musician at this point. So I kind of quit school and got my GED.
Oh, okay.
I was in school and my friend moved to Cape Cod and was like, "Hey, I've got this apartment. Do you want to come live here and get a job?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And like within 2 weeks, my life was like, I was in high school to then I was living on Cape Cod with a job as like a pseudo adult. And
Sure.
I think that was just before I started the band. Cause I moved back to New Bedford and started doing the band thing.
Okay.
And I was, all about 17.
Okay. And so it sounds like your senior year and your senior prom were obviously not on the radar.
Nope. Didn't care. It was done. It was over with. My dad went to my guidance counselor and he was like, "He's going to be fine. Don't worry about it." Like, I think they were just glad that I was gone at that point because I'd skipped about a month worth of school around then.
Okay.
And I was not the most apt pupil. I was a pain. I stopped doing any of my work. I would just bring a book and just sit in class and read.
Okay.
I think they were just happy that I was reading, but I think I was also probably a distraction, and it wasn't fair to the other kids, and it was time for me to go.
We welcome our friends Wicker Woodworks back to the show, and they never left, truthfully, because they're in my heart. They're in my home office. And if you collect vinyl in any capacity, it can be something small or absolutely ridiculous like my collection, and you will be able to find a place to store it. Nice pieces of furniture, nice crates. It's an awesome family-owned operation from the Pacific Northwest, and they want to give you a discount. So if you use the promo code 100words, you get 10% off orders over $500 or more. Like I said, they're located in the Pacific Northwest. This piece of furniture that I have in my home office, it turns heads. People walk in, they're like, "Dude, is that custom made?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but you can also buy one as well." Like, I didn't specify the conditions in which it was made and the dimensions, and it's great because they have pieces of furniture like what I have where it contains my record player and some record storage, all that sort of stuff, or they have something that's really compact that you can toss into an apartment or your living room. It's a very, very awesome company. They recently went through a pretty big tragedy where their warehouse got burned down, but they have flipped it. The community's rallied around them, and they are shipping product now. So if you order from them, it might be delayed a little bit, like a week or two, but we are cooking with gas. I mean, maybe that's not the best metaphor, but you get it. Anyways, Wicker Woodworks, I love them. You should check out what they have to offer. And again, use the promo code 100words for 10% off orders of $500 or more. Store your vinyl. You need to do it.
You know how everything's a subscription now? Music, movies, even socks. I swear if
To continue this ad, please upgrade to Premium Plus Platinum.
What? No, anyway, Blue Apron.
This is a pay-per-listen ad. Please confirm your billing.
Oh, that's annoying. At least with the new Blue Apron, there's no subscription needed. Get delicious meals delivered without the weekly plan.
Wait, no subscription?
Keep the flavor. ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
I'm just kind of typifying like that experience of being like, I have already progressed past this because I know what I want. So it's like, I'm going to read Catcher in the Rye while everybody else is just, doing algebra or whatever. I'm like, dude, I got nothing. No, you guys.
I was probably reading a lot of books that would have had me on lists. Yes, Catcher in the Rye being one of them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure. Pulling out your copy of the Anarchist Cookbook and being like, wait a minute, what is this? Well, I do like the sort of clear-eyed approach that you had where it's like, the idea of being a touring musician, like, I mean, you can apply that label to yourself now, but I'm sure you were just like, yeah, I just want to like go out and play shows and be in a band.
Mm-hmm. That's all I cared about.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what would you, I guess, kind of, like you said, you were, trying to, rip off pieces of, Neurosis and all, like it sounds like the input that you were getting from all the different styles of music, like what I'm going to define as advanced, because like, trying to rip off Neurosis when you're 17 or 18, like that's not common. Usually people are like, hey, can we sound like Gorilla Biscuits or whatever? So it sounds like you were painting with a pretty broad brush.
I mean, we were definitely kind of like punching above our weight for what we wanted to do versus, I don't know, maybe what we actually did. I think maybe a lot more of it was, I think it was a lot dumber than I was trying to make it sound, but we were trying to reach something artistic. But yeah, like normal song structures and just power chords didn't interest me. I was more interested in dissonance and being a thorn in people's evening, maybe.
Right. You're like, this is not the idea of entertainment. We're trying to challenge what your listenership may be defined as. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to make you work for this, and it's probably not going to pay off for anybody.
That's definitely to your point of just being like the idea of rubbing up against probably what you were surrounded by too. Cause I mean, at that time, early 90s, like obviously, grunge and everything was happening. But there was clearly a response to that of being like, oh, these bands are like polished, like they sound slick. They're on the radio. Like, we don't want any of this. We'll still wear, like you said, the flannels and, but we don't want to sound anything like that.
We like Blaze Baby was weird because we were so abrasive and kind of dumb, but we got to play with all of like the big bands that came through Providence. One of the local booking agents took a shine to us, as it were. And, like we played with Pearl Jam actually in their first show in Providence to like 200 people.
Sure.
Unsane, White Zombie. Like we played with a lot of really big bands. It was very strange. I don't know why we did it.
Sure. Because that's who was playing there. Yeah. You're like, of course we're going to play the Living Room. Yeah. Right. Yeah, we got this.
First club I ever went to. So good.
Oh, that's amazing. I only got a chance to go there once I was on tour with Turmoil, and I just remember being excited to be, and then seeing the venue and being like, why'd you guys put a pole right here? Like,
wait, was it the second Living Room or was it the first one with the big bubble window?
It was probably the second one because this was like 2005 or 6. So I never saw the original.
It was the original one was insane. It was
really
so cool. Yeah. I mean, at least in my memory, it was from, I don't even know what year that was. I think I started going there when I was like 14 or something like that. We were just
incredible.
Whoever had a car, I'll jump in and go up there. And I was disappointed seeing HR because I didn't realize that it was a different band than Bad Brains. And you will be not getting any Bad Brains tonight. You will be getting all the reggae stuff.
All the reggae. He'll be chilling. You need some ganja, obviously.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you said, once Glaze Baby was disbanding, and then you joined Season of Risk, and that's what pulled you to the Midwest.
Yep. It was. I was kind of just going to move there anyways, and then right before I did, they're like, "Hey, do you want to play bass?" I was like, "Yes, I do." So it was just an instant. You're in the band, but I didn't try out or anything. It was just they kind of usurped me.
Right. They're like, "Hey, this dude Josh is like cool, and like he's got equipment, so
Yeah.
he's coming here. So let's ask him.
It might as well be him.
Right. This kind of is a larger question, but goes to kind of all the different experiences that you've had playing in the bands that you have. I mean, you've worked with a ton of different bands, different structures, different sounds. What do you think makes you personally kind of adept to do that? Because obviously not everybody is made to have that experience of being like, oh yeah, I can play in Reggie in the Full Effect and, Unsane. Like that's a weird resume.
I think I take what I do seriously, but I don't really take myself seriously. Like I take the music seriously, even Reggie, I took it seriously.
Yep.
I don't know. I think you just kind of get outside of what you think it should be and just kind of listen for what the song maybe needs versus trying to pour yourself all over it. Just kind of maybe assimilate sort of to what it should be. I don't know. That's an awful answer.
No, well, I mean, maybe it's a matter of just like you, for lack of a better term, like maybe understand your assignment. And I don't mean that in like a bad way.
Yeah. It's also like sometimes you're just the bass player. You don't really have to be the songwriter.
True.
But although when I started playing with Every Time I Die, they were like, so are you going to write stuff? And I was like, oh, you want me to write stuff? Okay, cool. Sure. And then like I came in the next day with a song and it was on New Junk Aesthetic, but it was
okay.
I ended up having to write with From Autumn to Ashes because I think everybody who wrote in the band got kicked out prior to my being in the band.
Sure.
So I was like, anybody have any ideas? No? Me? Okay. Well, this isn't going to sound like you guys sounded before.
Totally.
And there was a lot less
when were you,
chug stuff, but
sure. When were you writing? I mean, I remembered you playing.
I was in
From Autumn to Ashes. Yeah.
I want to say 2004 to 2007. I was on 2 records with them.
Okay.
Abandon Your Friends and Holding a Wolf by the Ears are the records that I was on with them.
Okay. The Vagrant records.
Yeah. Which
yeah.
I met them because I was on tour with Reggie. And they just wanted me to fill in, and then I stayed for like 3 years. So 3 or 4 years.
Right. Yeah. that seems to be your sweet spot of, playing in bands where it's like, oh yes, like this enough to, make your impact, obviously, build your resume, whatever you want to look at it as. But then being like, okay, like maybe there's something else out there.
Once it stops being fun, I tend to step away.
Which, I mean, you have the luxury to do that as the role that you're filling in some of those bands. So
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't have I don't have any ill will towards any of the people that I play with. It was time for me to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, when you're it's talking about, especially those 2 particular bands like that, those aren't the easiest of times that you existed through both of those bands. So like, I can understand where you eventually are just like, maybe I need to see myself out.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you moved to the Midwest and obviously started to experience that scene in a more real way, besides just passing it on tour, was it what you anticipated, or was it pretty different, like kind of, boots on the ground?
No, it was exactly what I had experienced. I ended up moving. 4 of us from Massachusetts ended up moving out to Kansas City, and we rented a house, and we had all the weird parties, and we were, I don't know. The Midwestern mentality is definitely different than the East Coast mentality.
Sure.
I think people were taken aback by not us being aggressive, but maybe honest, maybe overly honest. But I don't know. It was a great time. I still love Kansas City. I miss Kansas City. I went back for a year, about 10 years ago, and I was on tour so much. It was just like a storage space with air conditioning. I was like never home.
Right.
But I still miss KC. And yeah, it was a weird time because it was like 98 2006 to 2003 or something, and it was like all the Meet Me in the Bathroom era stuff bands were happening, like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs were happening, and Interpol and all that stuff it was a weird time for music and noisy rock stuff.
Sure. Well, and a lot I know for myself existing on the West Coast and seeing the stuff that was starting to percolate there from, I mean, especially within the context of like punk and hardcore, and seeing it's like, Second Nature and like, Coalesce and Get Up, all this stuff that was starting to happen where it was like, oh, I need to like reckon with Kansas City as like a musical force or whatever. It's like, there's a lot coming from here. And not every scene has, the, I guess, prolificness of and diversity of rosters that a lot of, cities and areas kind of push out there. So like it makes sense where it was like, the scene maybe wasn't influenced by stuff that was like happening in other places, but there was a weirdness still of being kind of like, do we have to pay attention to what's happening in New York or California?
Yeah.
Or are we doing our own thing here?
Austin was a big thing at the time too. There was a lot of pretty cool Austin bands back then. When people could afford to live there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sure. So when Shiner started to become, a part of your life, because how long did you play in Season at Risk?
I guess I quit in 1999, so it's probably about 4 years, 5 years.
4 years, sure.
Yeah, but I was in and out a bunch. Like I've played with them. I play with them randomly whenever they don't have someone to play bass. I'll just go do shows with them if I have time.
Right.
But then Shiner, it was Season of Risk had already been signed to a major label, and I'd already owned a studio, and we were getting salary, but it just felt like things were kind of still going up with Shiner. And trying to make that a career versus just being in a band and also making pizza when you're home. But that was ultimately also our undoing. So I joined Shiner, and we start working on material for the Egg. And well, first we toured for Starless, but then we started working on the new material. But we were also taking meetings and conversations with a lot of labels and all that stuff. And it was interesting and scary and exciting and heartbreaking.
Sure. I was actually going to talk about that or bring that up a little bit later. Just the interact. Well, truthfully, it's like the interaction that you have had with like the music industry, not only obviously on the professional life that you're a touring crew person and, you've interacted with so many different aspects of the business. So talk to me a little bit about, I guess Shiner's experience, like, when you guys were getting courted and like all that sort of stuff where you're like, do I even care about this? I don't know. Like
that was the weird thing was like nobody knew what to do with us. Like labels would come see us and be like, you guys are fucking great. I don't know who I'm going to sell this to. And I'd be like, okay, thank you for coming to the show. And it was a lot of stuff like that, but we got really close with Grand Royal.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But like, probably, around the same time that At the Drive-In was obviously being
recorded. At the Drive-In was the undoing of our. They had already done the At the Drive-In record, and they put in $1 million worth of promo for it, from what I've been told. And then they broke up, and the label was kind of done after that. Grand Royal didn't last much longer after that. So. No. That kind of, not that I don't know those guys and I'm not like butthurt about it. But yeah, that seemed like it was going to be the coolest, closest actual thing that was going to happen. And then it was like, we're done. So it was okay. And then we went back to DeSoto and put the record out with DeSoto. And of course, they decided to put the record out the same day as the last Dismemberment Plan record. So any attention we would have gotten for the Egg there was then put on Dismemberment Plan, which I get, because they were much bigger and definitely more marketable than our weird record was.
You know what time it is? It's Rockabilia time. Buy your officially licensed merch straight from rockabilia.com. And I don't care if you're into metal, hardcore, punk, indie rock, mainstream rock, they got it all. But most importantly, right now, they have a Ghost branded dildo I'm not exaggerating. It is worth your while checking it out because, it is an exclusive thing to rockabilia.com. And you can get 10% off of your first order by using the promo code 100 words or less. Just simply talking about a dildo in my podcast may make it explicit, but you know what? I don't care. That's how creative Rockabilia is. They have limited edition partnerships all above the board with the band and their blessing to be like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. Let's sell some dildos. Let's sell some long sleeve shirts. Let's sell something that's, maybe a little more common and people buy. To be clear, people buy dildos and sex toys. That's a whole separate argument. But Rockabilia is the place where you need to go and point your web browser and go shopping because they ship from the Midwest here in the United States of America, and it gets to you lickety-split, and they have great customer service if you run into any issues, and they have so many items. They're like 600,000 plus items for you to browse on their website. And again, use the promo code 100 words or less for 10% off your order. Thank you very much, Rockabilia. Sex toys, right? Wow.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into. From chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredelioQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
Yeah, just looking at the, sliding doors alternative universe in which the egg came out on Grand Royal, where it was like, especially if you look at it from the sort of idea that clearly, record labels, in order to succeed, you have to put out a decent amount of stuff and kind of pick your bets. But doing the what Grand Royal did of just being like, we're putting all of our eggs in this basket. And if it doesn't work, then we're done.
It was kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it, when the record came out, they had a shit ton of attention. They get to play on Letterman, and it was wild. It was so cool to see.
Yeah. Did you, were you guys basically recording the egg as you were kind of having on your own as you were having these label conversations, or did you ultimately just record after DeSoto kind of?
I think it was after we'd talked to DeSoto and they wanted us to come back.
Okay. Got it. And kind of, along that line, clearly you've made your, life touring, and I'm sure you have had moments of, clarity that you did not want to be on the road, or maybe you did. What's your relationship been like with touring overall, not only behind the scenes, but obviously on the stage as well? I realize it's a big question, but.
It's funny because when I look back at when I played in bands where I was not necessarily a hired member, but like from Autumn Dashes or Every Time I Die, I kind of felt looking back now, I was like, oh, I kind of did what I'm doing now as a tech. I just played the show. That was the only difference I don't know. It feels very similar. I feel like when I started becoming a tech, or when I became a tech, was because I had become friends with Joe Troman with Fall Out Boy. And we did the Damn Things together. Fall Out Boy was getting back together, and he was like, why don't you just come be my tech? And I was like, I don't know how to do that shit. And he was like, you've been touring for 20 years. You've taken care of yourself the whole time. You'll get it together. Just come be a tech. And I was like, okay, let's go be a tech. And then that was a while ago, over a decade now. And I just it just keeps going. It's weird. I don't know. I hate being on tour. I miss home a lot. I don't hate it, but
sure,
I hate it when I'm not working. But by the same token, I don't feel like I get paid to work on guitars or touch musical equipment or be excited about gear. I feel like I just get paid to be away from home. That's kind of how I view the job. Because I have pedals and guitars here, and I'd probably be fucking with them anyways. So
sure.
I guess if someone wants to pay me to do that, sure.
Totally. Yeah. You're like, hey, if I got my, my rack and I got my work desk, that's all I need.
Yeah. I'm a happy camper. But on days off, I'm miserable. So
right. Just like every other job, there's good and bad things with it.
Totally.
Yeah. Since Shiner, never hit that way of like, okay, here we are, major label success, all that, whatever, all that sort of stuff. When did you, I guess, start to realize that, the band had, for lack of a better term, like a legacy, like people were bringing stuff up to you, like, it's like, oh, dude, the egg changed my life or whatever, having that sort of echoed back to you. When did you realize that was, kind of a thing, for lack of a better term?
Well, it was weird because Andy and Rat Boy from Every Time I Die loved the egg. And that was how we even started talking on Warped Tour at all. They were like, why are you playing with these guys? It was, not to diminish the other band I was playing with at the time, but it was weird to like have people who were doing well acknowledge the stuff that I did prior. I don't know how to explain that. It was cool to see and to realize, people did hear it. We weren't just playing to nobody in Columbus, Ohio in a bagel shop to 7 people only. Like somehow it started to change when the internet took off, really, which I feel like I'm 150 years old saying that. When the internet finally started, people cared.
Sure.
But it's true, that it kind of, and then when we came back and played some shows for the reissues, it was like, where were you guys the first time?
People raise their hands and like, I wasn't born yet.
So, yeah, there is that. There's definitely that.
Yes.
I was 6. Right on.
Right, I was 8. Yeah, totally. I barely stopped listening to Kids Bop. Like, yeah. I don't know. Sorry. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, now we're seeing it, on Hyperdrive, where it's like these, I joke that there are bands that are like forced to get back together because one of their songs goes viral, and they're just like, I guess we should play a show, maybe, or something.
I mean, and Radiohead might be one of them because, Let Down is now back in the charting on the songs, and suddenly they're playing shows. Who would have figured?
Totally. I know. But it's like, yeah, that feedback loop is like shortened now to where it's like,
Definitely.
It's almost like the snake eating its tail. But it's interesting that like you were able to notice that feedback, like, in the infancy of the internet. And like you said, just being around and people being like making the connection. Wait, are you Josh from Shiner?
Yeah.
Like, well, that's weird.
It's totally weird. Actually, I was in Paris the other night, the last show of the Kings of Leon run. And I was walking out. I just pushed stuff out towards the truck, and I was walking to the production office or whatever. And this guy goes up to me. He's like, "Were you on Every Time I Die?" And I was like, "Yes." It was very strange. I don't know. It's getting recognized is very strange to me. Always, it's because you forget that anyone might even know who you are. So it's like, and then when I'm like standing there having it happen with a bunch of people that I work with now, and they're like, "Yeah," it's always kind of funny.
Of course. Yeah. Like, look at you, nerd.
Yeah. Oh, that dork knows this dork. Great. Let's go get a beer.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Big deal. You play in some dumb band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you go load the equipment, jerk?
I expect to hear someone in the background, nerds.
Yeah.
Pretty much how it always feels.
That's amazing. So when you started to, be able to explore these different, opportunities and kind of having these different, being put in these different situations and kind of understanding what it's like, okay, like the type of shows that I play here for this band are, completely different than what I do for this band. Did you have to kind of not adjust your playing style, but like, did you have to kind of adjust the way that, you like were on stage, or like, did you have to, kind of adapt from that side of things? Or do you feel like you've been pretty, consistent?
I think more about now what could go wrong with my stuff than I think that I used to. I'm obsessed with having backups for everything now. When I think about how I used to tour with like, I don't even know if I brought a second guitar with me, which is like fucking insane to me now. Yeah. I think my bandmates kind of expect me to maybe take care of their stuff too. So,
so the onus is on you to be, the man that has all the alkaline batteries or whatever.
But I'm also the first one who'll go like, I don't know. You gotta figure out your own stuff. Like it's
true.
It's not what is it? Hardcore parenting? I don't know what it is. I don't know. But
Sure.
I kind of like let them make their own mistakes, and then I'll maybe come in at the end.
Right. Yeah, you're like, did you try to turn your amp on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's funny because I hate teching for myself. Like I hate some guy in Minneapolis a few months ago spilled beer on my pedal board, and it's still just filthy. But if it was, if I was working and that was somebody else's stuff, it's clean as hell, because I just hate teching for me. I hate it.
We love our friends at evilgreed.com because not only do they have .com, no .net anymore. It's awesome. .net will still get you there, but they are an amazing company that sells heavy music, merchandise, and records. Simply put, they have some of the coolest stuff around from bands like Chelsea Wolfe and Blood Incantation and Full of Hell. And they also have stuff from, for lack of a better term, more traditional hardcore bands like Speed and Raw Brigade and Spaced. It's so exciting because this company really makes sure that they have the high quality stuff all through their specific lens of heavy music, merchandise, and records. And above all, they want you to save money using this promo code, 10% off your first order. And this is not offered anywhere else. New Music, that is the promo code that will get you 10% off of your entire order. And it's a limited time deal. So hop in there. And I know ads say that all the time, but truthfully, use New Music for 10% off your first order. It ships worldwide. It gets to us here in the United States in a very cost-effective manner, and it gets to us. I've ordered from them 9-10 days here in California. It's awesome. I love this company so much, and they have the goods. So go to evilgreed.com and go shopping. I mean, I can understand where you could your own expectations for your own stuff is clearly different than you're like, well, yes, this needs to be, impeccable because I respect the work.
Yeah.
I know what
I appreciate the job.
Right. But then for you to fall so far down the totem pole, being like, dude, I can, none of my knobs even work on my pedals.
They're all stuck. Yeah.
That's interesting. Josh, what does that say about you?
I don't
Do you
know.
Respect yourself?
Apparently not. There's a very minimal amount of respect from me.
Okay.
I should be nicer to my friend Josh. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. He's pretty cool. I'm glad he's showing up,
Yeah.
So I'm sure with the Reggie and the Full Effect time frame, because I mean you was like early 2000s that you were playing?
That was immediately after Shiner.
Right.
So Shiner breaks up. James calls me, "Hey Josh, you want to go on tour?" Sure. Let's go.
Sure.
And then so I went from taking myself and the music seriously when joining Reggie to learn how to not do that at all, to take it as unseriously as you can.
Right. I know. Was that like running into a brick wall in a way?
It was wild. Like those guys partied like crazy.
Yes.
And did everything else like crazy. So here's a little tidbit. I picked the bunk in the bus below James. I think I was on the bottom bunk, and I looked over at the wall one day and there was marinara coming down the wall. And I was like, what the? He had gotten, I don't even know what Italian food he'd gotten, but he was eating it on himself, watching the TV in the bunk, and turned over. And then I had a wave of marinara coming down my wall. So it was always stuff like that. Always.
Right. Nothing that you would be immediately explicable. It's always like, there's a mystery behind this.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I want to say that I'm so stupid. I did it again in a different bus, and there was gravy the second time.
Maybe people are just dumping condiments on you.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it was James and me. And
Right. Right.
I definitely should have learned my lesson the first time.
Were you having to wear a costume on stage as well for Reggie or no? Okay.
Initially, the first tour I did, we were dressed as his character Paco, which we had like a wig and a mustache and all that stuff. And then we would come back out, and I would kind of dress like a death metal priest guy, and I would spit blood and all the bass, and that was probably
the most theatrical that you've had to be on stage, right?
Yes, definitely. Oh, we did one time. There was no one there to open the show. So I suggested we mime to Trapped in the Closet, just James and I. And I happened to have 2 shirts that looked very mime-ish, a black and white and a red and black striped shirt. So we wore those. We simulated sex acts from the Trapped in the Closet song.
Sure.
I've seen photos. They're interesting. Yeah. but in total mime costume. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's, I mean, those days in which, like smartphones existed, but not in the way that they exist now, where it's just like, yeah, there could be pictures, but yeah, you're not getting full video where that lives in infamy for years. Yeah.
Thankfully.
Totally. What memories do you attach to, Every Time I Die during your run? I mean, like you mentioned already, the fact that you were, hey, you want to write some songs, and you were not expecting that.
Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, I know you have a lot of memories attached to that, but like, do you have, sort of significant mile markers that you attach to that band where it was like, dude, that was the first time I got to do this, or, I got to be on Warped Tour again or whatever?
It was, I think that was mine. I did Warped Tour twice with ETID. I think I did 8 and 10 with them. But like signing to Epitaph was cool. Going through all that stuff, and actually being able to sign a record deal was kind of fun. Following through with it.
Right. Yeah. So like, I mean, because I guess like with Shiner, like you were already kind of signed to DeSoto, so you didn't have to like, that's like handshake.
There was no signing. It was like Kim was like, hey, we want to put out your record. Come on, come stay at the house. And that was pretty much our signing. But like going to the Epitaph offices and like signing the contracts, and let's see what else we did. Oh, we did Jimmy Kimmel. That was cool. So a lot of things, and a lot of places I went to the first time. I think maybe it was the first time I went to Australia. No, not the first time I went to Australia. But a lot of like Southeast Asia stuff where I had never gone. And it was weird being in like such a bro-y band, because I'm not like those guys all love the Bills and care about football and stuff. And I was like, right.
This is, yeah. Have you not heard of the bands that I played in previously? We don't really.
Yeah. Well, but also by the same token, Alan and Jason from Shiner love the Chiefs, and they are worked up. Like Jason told me the other day, all he listens to in his car when he's driving around is fantasy football stuff. And I was like,
sure.
What? What do you, that is so fucking boring. Oh my God. But God bless him,
I think that description also typifies like that the different ways that people can obsess about things. Yeah. Like they're, like, yes, Every Time I Die guys like can ride hard for the Bills, but then, the guys in Shiner will be like, oh yeah, we're 7 layers deeper. Like, we know our 8th round draft pick.
Yeah. It's like insane. I thought Every Time I Die was Browier, but they were just casual sports fans. It turns out the guys in Shiner are way worse.
Totally. Yeah, you're just on a different level. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know where that level sits, but yes,
right. And kind of circling back to that sort of music industry question, the fact that you have been able to make a living in regards to the what you've done with a lot of the bands and everything. But then clearly there's also obviously been like the Shiner stuff that, has come in and out in regards to not only playing shows, but releasing music and stuff like that. Do you, I guess, think about the way that, sort of work and play music kind of, intertwines with each other? Or is it all just kind of one spectrum for you?
No, it's definitely like, I feel like I've realized I'm spending money quicker when I have to go play shows with Shiner. But also it's partially because I'm not afraid to spend money on this thing that I know is ultimately going to kind of lose money. Not that we lose money, like for the amount of shows that we do, we make really good money somehow. But I don't know. I take it just as seriously, like as I would work, in the sense of, except for cleaning off my pedal board, apparently.
Sure.
I don't know. It just feels like a different job. It's like I'm just doing a different job for me that day. Like this year I've been out with Jimmy Eat World and Hosier and Kings of Leon and Fall Out Boy. And And then Shiner, it's kind of the same thing. I go set up the gear, I worry about the gear, but then I also just play the show. It's kind of weirdly similar. I don't know.
That's funny. I think just hearing you describe it like that, it's like you're never, for lack of a better term, like double dipping. You're just like, when I'm playing a show and I'm being in the band, like I'm not caring about the stuff that I normally care about.
Yeah.
When I am tech. Okay, there it is.
I'm not. The difference is I'm not fucking freaked out waiting for something to break. I'm kind of expecting it to break with me. And then when it doesn't, I'm like, hey, all right, win-win.
We made it. We played our 10 songs and like nothing broke. That sounds great.
Really?
Because I sure as hell don't have a backup.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I probably that is able to preserve the, act of deriving pleasure from the creative pursuits when you don't have to put the pressure on it to be like, oh, it needs to, I can't wait to get to the Kings of Leon level. It's like, no, that ship has already sailed.
Yeah. And I couldn't be less interested in trying to like be famous now. Oh my God. Like, and the idea of music that I do resonating with that many people, it's so far-fetched to me. And that's totally okay. Like, I'm perfectly happy with the level the band is at. It's still easy. And I don't have to worry about, people getting super obsessed and following us around and not being able to get, like, I look at those bands and the people that are obsessed with them and ultimately the people that pay my bills too, but I don't want the responsibilities they have. Like, I don't want the responsibilities that Fall Out Boy have for people. I've seen the meet and greets of people show up and they start fucking sobbing and bawling about how they equate those dudes and the music in their lives. And that, like, I appreciate anyone that gives a shit at all to listen to the music, but watching what those people go through freaks me out.
Sure. Well, it's that whole, double-edged sword argument that everybody goes through where it's like, oh yeah, I want to make a living off of my art, but then there's the flip side of just like once the art is out in the world, it's not yours anymore. Yeah. And that stuff can shine back real bright.
Yep. And I mean, I'm kind of, I'm back feeling that again with the new record. Like, we started writing the songs and I was like, is this Shiner? I don't know. Is it? It's like kind of weird. And so it's going to be interesting when it comes out to see the reactions, because I don't know what we got.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, because I mean, listening to I haven't listened to the whole record, but like listening to the singles that you guys have put out there, like to me, it's just, and truthfully, since you guys came back and released that, Schadenfreude, where it's like, to me, it just seems like a more confident version of yourself, where it's like, there's no, like, you can get weird and you can have certain songs that sound even less like Shiner, but you just are, I guess, maybe, adults or more comfortable in your skin, maybe?
Yeah. It was, I think, Alan, it sounds a lot more vulnerable to me, a little more human, I think, on this record, which is an interesting place for him to be. I don't know. Writing music with it is very strange. Like, I don't know. Whatever. I never know where it's coming from or what the idea is going to be. Like, there were a couple songs on this record where I wasn't able to go for rehearsals because I had COVID. So they worked on some stuff without me. And then I heard the songs and I was like, these are pretty fucking done, man. Like, I don't know where I fit in some of these. Like, on The Alligator, Alan's main guitar part is 2 guitar parts, but he loops over himself. So I don't play guitar in that song until the heavy part at the end. I only play the keyboards. So when I wrote my part, it was just because, like, I didn't want to step on what he'd done, but I also need to find my own space in here. I don't know. I never know what it's going to be. I like not having a preconceived notion of where we're going, even if I question it when we get there.
Well, yeah, just what you said, like especially like, is this Shiner? And I think that every band, once they have some sort of break or hiatus or whatever you want to call it, when they are coming back and writing music, like clearly people have changed, they have different tastes, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But then ultimately being like, should we even still call this the thing, or should we call this something completely different? I mean, I'm glad you're calling it Shiner still, because it's still the core.
It is
like it doesn't. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
It was like maybe perhaps that was me being dramatic in the moment, but
Sure.
Initially I was like, we were also playing shows like because they just reissued the first record, and I was kind of sick of playing those songs just because it's so far removed from my existence in the band that I don't identify with. Even as a fan, I didn't really love the first record as much as I loved Lula Divinia when that came out, and I was like, okay, this I get. It just, I don't know. The band has evolved in more of an interesting way, I think, since going on, and hopefully I've helped.
Well, I think I would be the first to say, or I'll be the first, and hopefully many others would agree, just that, yes, you have made a positive impact.
I appreciate that.
Of course.
I was not fishing.
But no, I understand. But yeah, but I see what I mean, yeah, that's I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes. That is a weird experience of playing a band's first record that you weren't involved with, and then also writing new music and like having your head in these two different places where it's just like, oh, I'm just playing a cover song essentially.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, yeah. And then when we do that stuff, it's weird for me because there generally isn't a guitar part for me. So I'm either doing exactly what Alan's doing, or I'm writing a guitar part, but I don't want to change the song too much. And it's like, I want people who liked this record to still enjoy it without me ruining it by putting my bullshit all over it. So,
right.
But I also have to make it interesting for myself. So,
sure, right. Yeah. You're not just being like, what am I even doing up here?
Yeah.
Like, can I just, here's just a track.
I'll come over here and play some of the other songs so let me know.
Yeah.
First 20 minutes I have off. Cool. Let's go.
Totally. I'll just come up and do the songs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to hit on was the notion that you are, well, not the notion, but the fact that you are still connected and care about music in a pretty deep way, not only from creating it, but then obviously supporting it. And what, besides the fact that you've obviously made your life in and around music, what keeps you connected? Because I mean, you for sure don't need to and this is not to throw shade against anybody in the, crew community, but there's definitely a lot of people that just they don't actually care about music. They're just it's tours, cool. But you strike me as a person that obviously still cares. So what keeps you connected?
It's all I've really ever cared about.
Okay.
I think to a fault, to the point where I think maybe my obsession with music at this point is a personality disorder versus something I like or dislike.
Sure.
I don't know. Like the things that I love, I really love them, and I need them around me, be it guitars or pedals or records. Or I buy so many records that I don't even play. And I don't care. I just like having this vinyl that I think is rad, and you're clearly a vinyl fan. I got this band that I love from Providence. They were on Sub Pop, Six Finger Satellite. I actually got their record today in the mail, their reissue that Sub Pop just did, and I'm so excited about it. I probably won't even play it because I have all the digital files, but
right.
Whenever the new Mets record would come out, I would love getting the package in the mail,
Yeah. It's I mean, yes, I like just that description of is this a personality disorder? But I mean, it's the same way that, you're referencing your bandmates becoming obsessed with fantasy football. It's this is just, our version of that.
Yeah, it is. And I wish there are times when I wish I had other interests. When I would love to be interested in other things. I play a little bit of Xbox, maybe some Call of Duty, but I don't. That's just when I'm waiting to play music again. It's always just music. I'm always working on, if it's not actual music, it's t-shirt designs for the tour, or it's whatever. It's all based around music. Always.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to say, Josh, you're a lifer.
I guess I am.
I think that's what they describe you as.
At 52, I've finally figured out that I'm into this.
What a spectacular chat, if I don't say so myself. And that's not due on my part. That's due on Josh. What a great hang. Appreciate the conversation. Just loved finding out more about him. And he was very open and honest and frank. And I love that. Next week, we, of course, have another great episode. And this is in the form of Baltimore's finest, End It. We have the vocalist Akil Godsey, who I'm probably butchering his pronunciation, but Akil is, man, he is awesome. I knew this was going to be a fun chat because he definitely is a personality and he's not afraid to share his opinions and insights. But him as a human being, like just the getting another core component of it was really fun and special for me. So that's what we got next week. Love being able to have post-hardcore legends Shiner, and then the next week you got modern hardcore band End It. I love the palette we were able to paint here. So thank you very much. And until then, please be safe, everybody.